Welcome to PAXO. In this video we show you how to use our PAXO battery in your PlayStation controller version 1 to 3. But how do I know which version I have? Over the years, Sony has regularly developed the DualShock controller for the PlayStation 4. However, there was only one externally visible change to the controller from version 3 to version 4. While the old controllers version 1 to 3 lack a light bar on the touchpad and have black buttons, version 4 and higher are equipped with a light bar and grey buttons. Many sources say there's only version 1 without, and version 2 with a light bar, which is partly true if one focuses solely on external characteristics. However, the info is not enough for exchanging internal components. For those who want to distinguish the versions exactly, we've linked the comprehensive PAXO PS4 controller overview in the video description, which you can download there. Important for you to know, for version 4, if you have a light bar, you'll need a different battery than for versions 1 to 3 without a light bar, and the procedure for changing the battery is also different. If you have a newer controller of version 4 or higher, click here now on the appropriate video above. Continue watching this video here if you have a DualShock of version 1 to 3. It is advisable to arrange all the components from our set and your tools. Your PlayStation 4 controller, the Phillips screwdriver, the white spacer clips, a bowl or plate for the small screws, and of course, our new and more powerful PAXO battery. Let's go! First, ensure the controller is fully shut down and turned off. To do this, the easiest way is to hold down the PS button for about 10 seconds until the LEDs on the controller turn off. Place your controller with the bottom side up in front of you. Now you can remove the 4 small Phillips screws with the screwdriver. To protect the PS4 controller, it has 4 plastic hooks in addition to the screws, securely holding the top and bottom shells to prevent unauthorized access. 2 notches are located closely on the side of the L1 and L2 keys. The other 2 are sitting relatively in the middle to the left and right of the external and headphone output. Unlike other videos that forcefully pry open the controller at this point, we will show you how to cleverly solve it. This is the most challenging step. In order to access the 2 upper side hooks, we initially need to remove the L1 and R1 buttons. Take one of the white clips and insert it above the R1 key into the slot. By gently levering down at the front, you can release the key and pull it forward. Through the opening, we can now access the first 2 hidden case hooks. In order to demonstrate this more clearly, we have cut open a red upper shell and a white lower shell here, revealing the hook. Take the screwdriver and insert it sideways past the L1 button receptacle into the controller, behind the vertical bridge that you see on the outer wall. Now you can carefully push the tip outwards. To lever, you can press the screwdriver shaft against the L1 button receptacle as a fulcrum. If you detach the upper shell, you will hear a clicking sound and the shells will separate slightly. Now we insert a clip as a spacer into the open slot. You have to attach the bracket to the lower shell in such a way that it doesn't fall out again and the hook snaps back in place when it wobbles again. Now repeat the step on the R1 key and place the second spacer in position. Now place the controller with the spacers in front of you the right way up. Unfortunately, we cannot access the inner middle hooks directly through an opening. To solve this, we need to pull the lower shell outwards and push the upper shell inwards. We need to lift the top shell at the back with our thumb and index finger and use a spacer to push the 2 halves of the shell apart by a gap. Now we attach the 4th bracket under the thumbstick and push the lower shell outwards and the upper shell forwards at the same time until the hook next to it unhooks. Small note, since we had already opened the controller once, the hooks are easier for us to release. When first opened, unhooking is noticeably more difficult. Therefore, we repeat this step with the second hook on the other side. When unfolding, you first have to lift the upper shell slightly to the left and right, in order not to get stuck with the tap on the lower shell. Then we turn the controller over, so that the battery does not fall out, and carefully open the lower shell completely. Attention! The flex cable still connects both halves of the housing. Therefore, act very cautiously. Gently pull the flex cable upwards using the blue tab. In case the L2-R2 buttons fall out, they can be effortlessly reinserted later. Now we can unplug the plug on the left side and replace the original battery with our more powerful PAXO battery. Attention! Occasionally the plug is extremely tight in the socket. Hold the socket firmly so that you do not tear it off the board when you pull on the plug. Now insert our more powerful PAXO battery into the battery frame and connect it to the circuit board to increase its power. Now we can close the controller again. With controller version 3, inserting the fallen out buttons is relatively simple. Simply press the appropriate button under the wire into the hinge. With the previous versions 1 and 2, it is not quite as simple. Here, you need to first attach the spring to the key and then insert both the key and the spring simultaneously. This requires a little finesse. Now we can reinsert the flex cable into the socket on the main board. Then we double-check all plug connections once again and ensure that L2 and R2 are securely positioned in the hinges. Is everything all right? You can close the controller once more. You should make sure that neither the flex cable nor the vibration motor cable are caught or squeezed between the shells. Finally, you simply need to screw the 4 crosshead screws back into the lower shell and reattach the L1 and R1 buttons. Task accomplished. Now you can test the controller. If you have any questions or comments, please let us know. We are pleased to assist you. We have documented FAQs and answers in the video description for your immediate reference. Enjoy gaming, your PAXO team.